I think most importantly, whether do you, I mean, as a person, do you actually appreciate mentorship or not? Because if you ask me, I personally have very strong feelings towards having a mentor. And I think it's important for you to have a mentor, for you to progress in your career or even in life, because they also support your life goals, right?
The difference between being a supportive boss. Supportive boss can be just the task in hand, right? But mentor can be beyond that. It's you, both personal and professional. How do I help you, in achieving whatever goals that you have?
Hello to our aspiring talents out there. We are back with another GRADUAN Go podcast. And today, it'll be a very special episode because I have two guests with me here in our studio today, and they're from UOB and KPMG. So without further ado, let's have them introduce themselves for you guys. And over there, we have...
Hi, my name is Nantha. I'm actually from UOB Malaysia. I head up the talent acquisition team as well as the wholesale banking HRBP. Over to you, Mia.
Thank you, Miss Nantha. And next to her, we have...
Hello everyone, my name is Nabilah. I'm from the Corporate Tax Department and I'm a director there.
Thank you, Nabilah, and thank you so much, you both, for joining me today. It's such an honor to have you guys with me. And so today, we'll be talking about a topic that resonates with our Aspire Plus this year. It's two of our teams, which is mentorship and leadership. So I think you guys are the perfect people to have on this topic today. And let's just talk about a little bit of your journey as a mentor or leader, and then we'll share some tips and tricks for the talents out there who might want to know more. So the first question I have for the both of you is, how do you approach being both a leader and a mentor in your current role? Anyone wants to take this question first?
I think I'll let Nanda answer this.
Okay, sure. Okay, so to me, I've been managing people for some time. In fact, I started managing even at the early part of my career. So I was only in my early 30s where I started having people reporting into me. Mm-hmm. And even then, right, I had people who are much more experienced, much more older that was reporting to me. So today, when I look at it, being a leader and being a mentor is something that goes hand in hand. It's not exclusive. It actually comes together. As a leader, you know that you need to guide and direct your team towards the goal that we are trying to achieve. But in that journey, you wear the hat of a mentor as well, because as a mentor, you actually enable the part where your team members can speak to you as well as listen to you as well as to what are the things that they should be doing, and in the same time they could share what they think is the right way of achieving the goals.
So for me, have like a two-way communication, right?
So for me, it goes hand in hand. And in today's world where we are managing different generations, and different generations has got different preferences, so it actually comes together. That's my view. Nabilah, what about you?
I think the part where she mentioned generation, that scares me a bit, because to be honest, I do feel there's a difference in how we, manage the previous generation. I mean, I'm talking about my generation probably, and the newer generation is so different. And I think our leadership style also has to change. So to me that's scary. And I think to basically echo what Nanda mentioned, leadership I think is more aligned towards what the company needs, right? To make sure that we achieve a common objective in that sense. Whereas when we talk about mentorship, it's a bit more personalized. It's a bit more towards like what our staff or our employee needs,
So mentorship, if I could just add on to it, right? When you wear the hat of a mentor, you actually go beyond just the professional interest, right? As a mentor, at times, there are good mentors who actually even mentor you in terms of your life goals, right?
Like
what are the
goals,
things? What are the things that at this stage you should be achieving? So I think later on probably I'll share one of my mentor who actually played that part for me as well.
Oh, we can't wait for that. And thank you so much, you guys, for sharing. So you did say there were some difficulties on approaching your leadership style to like different generations. So I would just like to ask to the both of you as well, how has your leadership style evolved over the years, and what key lessons have shaped the way you lead today?
You want to go first?
I think for me, I personally think that leadership is something that you start off earlier on, especially when you get into, you start your career. I mean, it's something that you develop over the years. So for me, when I became a manager. Okay, so it's like a transition, a role change, right? So when I was a first year manager, I think I was being tough on my juniors because at that point I think, because I was just a junior and I think like it's not that difficult to get it done, so I was being very hard on them. But then I think over the years, or probably like over time, as I basically get into like director, I mean I go up with the
you transition into like more roles.
Yeah, correct. So then basically to say that there are like bigger problems and there are different ways of like approaching things, and to get it
Of
done,
course.
you don't have to be hard on them, it just changed. So I think my style at least changed from being like a very hard, very authoritative style of leadership to I think a bit more toned towards how we want to get things done, and to be a bit more like compassionate to
I
get
see.
it.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I like what Nabilah was saying, and I can resonate to what she was saying, right? So early part of your career, when you're first made into a people leader, there's a lot of expectation on you, right?
Yeah.
So that's when you are like, okay, I need to act like a boss, I have to make sure that
Expectations,
I have to be in certain way that I come across as the leader I am. But over the years, when you start leading teams where you don't even have the technical expertise, so you really have to be genuine and open and tell them that, look, I may not know what you are doing, but I'm here for you when you need certain things, right? Certain support. So there are times that as leaders, we probably won't be able to teach them how to do their jobs, but what we can do is open doors for them, when they are facing certain issues, certain challenges,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
With the networks that we have, we can connect them with the right people. So not necessarily we will know the technical bit that they are doing, but more of other things that we bring to the table, that we play a part to the
I
team.
see.
So what I'm trying to say is, early part of the career, usually we are made a manager because of the technical expertise that we have. But as we move in our career, right, as we progress further, we will be managing people where we won't even know what they are doing, right? But you are made a
course.
leader, because as a leader, you are a generic manager, right? You are expected to know everything, but you may not know everything, right? So that's where, what is the value that you bring to the table? So that's how I have seen my leadership style has evolved. Even today, right, the portfolio that I'm managing, there are some that I've never done in my life, but people still look up to me. And why is that so? Is the connections one of it?
Yeah, so that just proves that even if you're a leader, throughout the years you still learn new things yourself by talking to more people, by gaining more experience, you learn more.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing. And so now we move on to the more personal question. We want to know about the mentors during your early stages of your career. Like, did you have someone you looked up to as well when you first started out?
So KPMG is my first job, right? So right after I graduated, I got into KPMG, and I'm still here. So after 12 years, I'm still here. So I think it's very important, like when you first enter into your job, your career, you get a mentor, right? For me, when I came in, I didn't know that mentorship was something that I needed. So for me, it's important that to have a mentor right now. If you ask me, it is important, but I didn't know it back then, so I feel like I was privileged enough to have it. So in my opinion, mentorship is something that grows organically. It's not something that you can force yourself into, because it's like what Nantha mentioned, it's a two-way thing, right? So I was fortunate enough to have a mentor, and well, I think if I can recall, probably 3 mentors. And, yeah, and they were women. So, okay, the reason why I had to emphasize on that is because men and women, the way they mentor is very different, because I have faced both already. The way women does it, okay, and this was like, earlier on during my first years, right? So, very scary. Okay, women leaders, I think no doubt they are very scary. They can be very scary because they have that motherly, that care, that the one that like, you don't mess up, like I think like typical mothers,
Yeah.
lah, you know, the one that cares for the
Expectation,
family.
you know.
Yeah, correct. Because they want to care for you. They have that. If
Of
they
course.
provide you with the emotional
Just
support.
that motherly, affectionate.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. So it's like, and you don't want to disappoint your mother. I mean, fathers is a bit different, you know. Yeah, a
Yeah.
bit more laid back. So having a lady mentor for me I was very pressured, but I think it made the person I am today. Lah.
Do you think your leadership style now is somewhat similar to your mentors before?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so what about you, Miss Nantha?
Yeah. Okay, so you were mentioning early part of our career, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I did not have an official mentor. So I was in banking all the while, right? And you know, banking in terms of work and all that, you know, work comes first, right? The leader that I had, she's a female leader, right? She's a career-oriented person, has a family as well. So when I started my career then, obviously what I was looking forward to is to progress to the next level, right? To be promoted.
Of
But I
course.
just got married then. So the one piece of advice she gave me was, Nanda, why don't you start your family first, right? You're still young, you know, you still have energy, right, to spend time with your children. There will be a time, right, where everything is settled, then you can pursue your career as well.
Yeah.
So today, I am thankful for that because, like you guys said, I look young, right?
Yeah.
But my son is 23 years old, right?
Very, very young mother.
Yeah. So at the age of mid-30s, I could actually accelerate in terms of my career. So this particular advice that I received from her was very, very useful to
It was
me.
actually life-changing.
Absolutely. So as a mentor, right, she did not only take interest in my professional growth, but she also made sure that at my personal side, I was also managing it well, right? And she's still my best friend until today.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
So
she's
you were that
fortunate.
close with your mentor.
Yeah, so she has retired, but we still keep in touch, and now
I
and then she still
see.
gives me tips and ideas, which I really, really appreciate.
That's a nice thing to have.
That's what Nanda mentioned earlier, right? You know, mentors is not just about your career or work. It's also about your life goals.
Yeah. So mentors does not have to be in the same command of chain. That means
correct.
doesn't have to be your boss, doesn't have to be a leader.
It can be anyone
Yeah, it can
you
be
look
anyone.
up to, who you find aspiring actually.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I think it's just a starting point, you know, like typically it's easier if you work together. So because I think to find a mentor, you have to have a common ground. So I think working together is that common ground. And then the next step is who do you find inspiring? So
Yep.
for me, also my female leader was someone who I found inspiring and has been guiding me throughout my career. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I can relate to that, especially when you said there's like there's a difference between your male leaders and female leaders. Because when I first started out in my first company, my boss was a man. So I really looked up to him, even though we don't talk as much anymore after I left. I feel like I'll always remember him as someone who shaped me professionally and personally, because we talked a lot. We talked about a lot of stuff, not just about like my job, but also like personal stuff. So I thank him for that, and then I moved on into GRADUAN, and here in GRADUAN I do definitely look up to Nada and Nabil, who are very different also. So yeah, those are the mentors in my life, in my professional life as well. So I definitely relate to you guys. Okay, now we can move on to the next question. So now let's talk more about tips for the young talents out there. So they might be thinking, oh, how can they find a mentor, right? So how can they find the right mentor to guide them in their career or personal development? Like, what do you think they should look for in a mentor?
Okay. I think the first question is how do they go about it,
Yes.
right? So in today's world, many organizations have already embraced the idea of mentorship. So given that if our young talents has a need for mentor, they could always speak to their managers, or they can even speak to their HR. So I come from HR, right? We are more than open to have that kind of conversation. If there is a need for them to have a mentor, we are more than happy to help as well. So that's one way of going. The other way is within their connection, where they see that there is a person that they look up to, right? And they can resonate, there's common interest, and they do see that, okay, I can gain something out of this person. So not to be afraid to go and approach the person and say that, look, I would like to have this relationship with you. Would you be able to help me? I don't think many people will say no, right? Unless they have other burning things that they have to do,
Maybe
right?
he or she's leaving.
I'm not sure about that. But it doesn't limit someone to approach, to have that kind of relationship going. That's what I feel. What do you think, Nabilah?
I mean, for me, like I've mentioned earlier, I think mentorship is something that grows organically, right? So, of course, like what Nana mentioned, probably because it's your department, you're a very people person. Whereas for me, of course, it's in the service industry, but we have our own portfolio. Things are very rigid. So for us, of course, we can go up to because we also have our performance managers, our bosses. But I think it's also important for you to have that connection, like I said, to have that common ground, and then also to approach them. I think most importantly, whether as a person, do you actually appreciate mentorship or not? Because if you ask me, I personally have very strong feelings towards having a mentor. And I think it's important for you to have a mentor, for you to progress in your career or even in life, because they also support your life goals, right? Then I think it's not just about mentorship. So when it comes to work, for example, like where I am right now, I think what's important is, like, for me, of course, to have a mentor that supports me throughout, not just in terms of my career progression, but also to make sure it's aligned to my life, what I want to achieve in life. And also, even if I'm no longer in the firm or my mentor is no longer in the firm, they can still provide that kind of support, so that is mentorship. I think it's a long-term relationship. Then the next thing that you have to have for me is coaching. Someone in the firm that coaches me to make sure that I'm aligned with with my firm's objective, so that I can meet the firm's objective at the same time to develop myself, and the third one is a sponsor. So the one that will sponsor me to make sure that I am heading towards the right direction. So they all play different roles, sponsor, mentor, and also coach. Right. But I think sometimes you can be lucky enough to have the same person to provide you with all these three kinds of support, but otherwise having three different people also is fine. But I think
so
essentially,
is that why you have three mentors? They all serve you different types of mentorship?
Well, initially I thought everyone was a mentor.
Okay.
What I mean? Like the concept of mentorship is just
someone you look up to and you wanna be like. But now that you think about it, you're like, oh, actually, this person actually coached me, and this person mentored me, guided me. Yes.
Yeah, it's a different role altogether. But I think earlier on, I think I appreciated more mentorship. But now I think there are other things that I need. It's not much about what I want, but more what I need.
Of course,
When we talk about career developments.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So just now we talked about different roles of a mentor, right? So now I want to ask you guys, how does mentorship differ from just having a supportive boss or teacher? Anyone want to take this one?
Supportive boss. Okay. For me, I think it's easier to be a supportive boss as compared to being a mentor, because I think mentor has a certain sense of responsibility, towards the person. So whereas supportive is more in that instance, yes, I support you, go ahead with it, whatever you want to do, go ahead with it. Whereas mentor is go ahead with it, but come, let me guide you on how to do it. And okay, have you assessed the pros and cons, So I think mentorship has a bit more responsibility. That's the part I think that not many people would want.
Yeah. I mean, if I could add on to what Nabilah said, that's spot on. Bosses, it's about the organizational goal, so they are being supportive because we are trying to achieve for the organization. For me, mentors actually take a bit more to that, You know, they have your personal interest in their heart as well. You know, they fully understand the circumstances that you are in. So when they guide you, they coach you, right? When they support you, it actually extends beyond the organizational goal. So that's what I see, the difference between being a supportive boss. Supportive boss can be just the task in hand, right? But mentor can be beyond that. You know, it's you, you know, both personal and professional. How do I help you, you know, in achieving whatever goals that you have? So that's the difference that I see.
I see. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's like how I think of it is that maybe a teacher is just someone who like you come into class and then they teach you and then they leave. But then if you feel like, oh, this is someone I can look up to, I feel like I really want to be like them. Maybe after class you approach them and you're like you ask them some questions so that you can be better, you can improve also, and then maybe gradually become like the person who inspired you. So that's how I think about it.
That's a very good example, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about leaders and mentors, now I want to ask you guys, as leaders, what do you think is the most important leadership quality that you believe young professionals should cultivate early in their careers?
Okay, so I was thinking about that, right? So I have 2H for it, right? As young leaders, right? One is be hungry, right? Second thing is be humble, right? Because today, as young talents, young leaders, right, you are enabled with so many information in your hand where you can come across as you know everything, right? But there are people in the organization who has seen it, done it, kind of a thing. We cannot discount them. So that's why being humble, humility is important, right? Be hungry to learn, right? The world is evolving so fast, so rapidly. A lot of things are changing, right? What you know yesterday, today is obsolete already, you know. So you have to keep on learning new things, right? So that's hungry is all about. And learning, being hungry and wanting to learn new things is just not textbook or whatever, not. It's also learning from others. So be open to learn from others, and even with the different generations that we come in contact with, learn from them as well. They bring a lot of wisdom. They have seen it, how things are being done manually before. Today is all automated, right?
But
like all when it's automated, right, you do not know what really goes behind it. When certain issues happen, you don't know because everything is automated, right? So I think being hungry, being humble, being open, these are the things that I will leave with the young leaders.
Right.
I think I stand with Nantha on that as well, because I think being hungry and being humble, I think it's very difficult to juggle both of them. You know, hungry sometimes it makes you very aggressive, and then when you're aggressive, and sometimes it's difficult for you to take feedbacks as well.
Absolutely.
So that's the part where being humble also helps.
Has this been a problem you faced before?
I think it happens. I think it's in any generation it happens.
It's just unconsciously. I don't think anybody wants to be.
It's just they're very eager
not
to
nice
like move
to
forward.
others, right? But it's just that at times we just have to keep it at the back of our mind. Yes, I want to do this. You know, I want to get this done to the best ability as I have, right? But in the same time, to ensure that we are not stepping on toes, you know, not making people feeling not good, you know, so that's important, I guess.
Of course.
I think it goes back to the question, I mean, because you're asking like from a young professional when you start off, right? How do you balance it out? I think it's good if they start to embed this kind of behavior earlier on, because it becomes a habit. So for example, like if you practice being hungry and humble earlier on, I think it becomes a habit throughout the years. So I think that provides you with a good balance. I think if
So
I were
it becomes
to
a 3H, huh?
3H?
Hunger, humble, and habit.
Yes.
Nice. So there you go. That's a 3H you should practice from your early career. Thank you so much, Miss Nantha and Nabilah for introducing that. We made it right here.
It's a framework already.
We coined it.
Okay. Now I just want to ask more about your experience. How does mentorship help not just in career growth but also in your personal life?
I think it's sort of like rings back whatever we've mentioned earlier. You know, like for me, I was lucky enough to find a mentor like earlier on during my career, and then some of my mentors are no longer with me in my career at the moment. So I think one thing is that not that I'm jumping mentors, but like having different kinds of mentors provides me with different perspectives, right? So I think I'm grateful enough that I have those people in my life. And we're not talking entirely about career, because like what Nanda mentioned, is also linked with your life goals. So I do have mentors who are no longer with the firm, and I'm still in contact with my mentor. And sometimes when I have difficulties, when I have like sometimes you have that work stress, and you have like some thoughts in mind, you just want to like talk it out. And sometimes you feel afraid to talk with someone who's in the same company as you, or probably like with your peers. So you just want to have a different perspective, so you share with this kind of mentor. So I think it's important that you don't have it just restricted within the firm. It's also someone who of course has been with you throughout the years, and also who understands you, and also it will probably link back to how because they know what you like or what you want to achieve.
Earlier on, I shared about my boss who became my
Yeah.
mentor, who
Yeah.
is still a friend of mine, right? But I also had other mentors, and it was not a boss, it's actually a peer, right?
Okay.
So there are certain things that I felt that, okay, I can do better. So this particular colleague that I had in my previous organization, and I just walked up to him and I said that, look, I really admire these qualities in you. This is something that I want to work on, right? Can you be my mentor? So as and when I'm not behaving the way it should be, please nudge me. So I don't feel offended at all, because he
Okay.
will nudge me and say, okay, Nanda, you could have done it this way instead, So I really appreciated it until
Yeah.
today. I mean, we will tell ourselves, right? Only if somebody has nudged me before, I would have fixed it. If they don't,
If not, you wouldn't have known.
you wouldn't have known. You would have just grown with that behavior,
Yeah.
and it will be too late for you to do anything about it. But when you start realizing, and when you get support, help, for you to improve, that's useful, right? So in this case, I actually had a peer who I actually walked up to him and I said that, look, I want you to be my mentor. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Please mentor me in all these things, right? So again, because I value those relationships, we are still friends. We are no longer in the same firm, but we are still friends. And anytime when I need advice, I could go to him. That I know.
All right. Thank you so much, Nantha and Nabilah, for sharing all of the insights. And now we are reaching the end of the podcast, actually. We're down to the last question. So for our audience out there must be a lot of them starting out in their career, and they're also wondering how do they approach potential mentors, right? Do you have any tips for those who are hesitant to like reach out to these maybe their bosses or leaders who they think they can like look up to? And maybe some of them are a little bit shy, or they could be scared of rejection as well. So how do you think they can navigate that?
I think they probably wouldn't reject lah. But for me, I think you don't actually. I mean, for me, I think not necessary that you have to go up to them. When it happens, it happens. So, for example, in my case, I didn't go up to my mentor. It was a relationship that sort of built up over the years. So as we have more and more engagements together, as we work together, I find her inspiring. So we started to build that relationship. And also at that point, I have a bit of until today, I'm still very hungry. So I tend to go to her to ask for advice. I keep on wanting to move forward, I want to push myself. So she's always the person that I go to ask, because she, I think after so many years, she knows what's my career goals, what's my life goals even, because we speak on a personal level as well.
So you guys are very close with each other.
Yes, we're very close. So she has been providing me that kind of support, and I think what's important is that, if I can just wrap up my thoughts, is that mentorship is not just someone who is supportive. So for me, what's important is I need someone who has my back. So of course there are times when I take risk and I want to make that extra jump, which I myself may not have assess the risk whether I should do it or not.
Yeah.
So these are the people that I go to, all these mentors to, so that they can ground me a little bit,
Of course,
to make sure that I do the right thing. So I think not to say that for me, I didn't approach my mentor, but I think it's someone that you feel like you just click.
Yeah, over the years, right? Yeah.
How was it like for you, Miss Nantha?
So I think for me is we need to be very clear about why do you need a mentor, right? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Because that's the first step, right? Because mentorship may not work in all situations. There are different ways that you can gain support, right? So firstly, be clear about what is it that you want to achieve out of the mentorship relationship. Then you think about who would be the best person to be able to provide you with that kind of support. Then you set out to make that happen, right? And there are a few avenues for you to make that happen. So one is speak to your boss and say that, look, I've reflected and I think I want to work more on this part of myself. This is what I think. What do you think, right? So it's also, you get support from your manager, right? Thereafter, when the conversation continues and your boss believes in what you are trying to achieve, then you can even talk about who are the potential mentors. Not necessarily your boss, because your boss is always there.
It can be anyone. Actually, it can be someone very close to you. It can be someone in your family, right?
It could also be somebody within the network, right?
Yeah.
That can be a mentor to you. So I think having the clarity as to what you're trying to get out of the mentorship, potentially who could give you that kind of support, and then you strike the conversation, whether with your boss or even HR. I mean, I'm a HR person, right?
Yeah.
I would love to have this kind of conversation with our people, and I do have that. So we have management associates, right, in the bank, who comes and do attachments with me, and they build the relationship. Then they tell me that, actually, Nantha, I think I would like you to be my mentor. So I've also gotten that kind of conversation going
that's
with
my
my
proposal to you.
Me too, actually.
Sure, for you. So I think, don't be afraid, right? Take the step forward if you believe that that's going to be helpful to you. That will be my advice to the young people out there.
I think because Nanda mentioned, for you to have that communication, right? I think for me, it's not that I don't see that there's a need for communication, but maybe because I was fortunate enough that it just happened.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I think it's important for you to let them know what you want.
Yeah,
also.
I think being open is important, like in yourself, right? And don't always think that there must be a structured mentorship program needs to be run in the organization that you can take advantage of it, right? Look around you. There's a lot of people out there.
Take that action yourself.
You can resonate, and they can be a good mentor to you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Actually, that's a great step-by-step tutorial on how to approach your mentor. And so that was a great talk about mentorship and leadership. Again, thank you so much. It was an honor to have you guys with me here today. And for the talents out there, if you want to learn more about mentorship and leadership, we have Aspire Plus happening this 30th of November. And I'm sure UOB and KPMG will be excited to see you there as well. So catch you guys at the next episode.